cause for those of us who make. Thank you. Now, before I hand the mic over to Maggie, I just have one small request. Again, to put together an event like this costs money. It costs upwards of $200. The Council of Canadians accepts no money from corporations or from government. We rely strictly on donations. So I would ask that you please be generous and make a small contribution to our donation buckets. And I believe there's a glass one in the room somewhere as well. So on that note, glass cups, or rather plastic cups. I was told to mention that these are all recyclable. They are made of plant material, so please don't throw them in the trash. We'd like to recycle them. And the second thing that I was asked to mention is that anyone who's interested in getting news from the Fredericton chapter of the Council of Canadians, there's a sign-up sheet in the back. So, that's it for me. Please help me welcome Maggie Connell.
It's not true. He does get an opportunity to thank us a lot. He just doesn't do it, that's all. I'm just blown away. This is wonderful. Look at you all. Can we have a round of applause for you folks? I was sitting there in the front row and I overheard somebody say, "Tonight's decision night for me." And I was thinking, that's exactly what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be a place where you can come, get your questions answered, and make an informed decision. And if everybody in New Brunswick did that, wow. So good for you. Good for you. Okay, so we'll get started. I just want to let you know how the evening will roll out. And I'm not very tall, but boy, oh boy, I have big boots. So I'll really stick to this schedule. Okay, and at 9 o'clock, we want you to leave here having a much better understanding of how you're going to vote. All right, we're going to start with some introductory remarks from each of our candidates, whom I will introduce shortly. So everybody here will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and add a few remarks. And we have Gary in the front here. He's got 2 flags. The yellow flag means in 30 seconds your time is up. That's going to apply to you folks as well. Okay? 30 seconds left. So say it quickly. And at the red flag, you're done. And I will make sure that that happens. The other thing is, so we have our introductory remarks, and then we will have questions from you folks. You're going to line up at the mic, and if you want a chance to get your word in, you've got to line up because the line gets very long very quickly. You have 2 minutes. Make your questions very specific and pointed, okay? Now we're going to ask that the only questions that are going to come to the mic are going to be the Fredericton South folks. So when you come to the mic, please state your name and the area in which you live. So there are the areas there. Please identify which one is yours when you come to the mic. Thank you. In terms of responses, after that question is asked, we're going to rotate the start. So the first response will start with you. The second question, the response will start there and we'll rotate. Okay, so everybody gets a chance to be first and last. All right, so we've got the flags out of the way. You know, it's interesting. When you get into politics or religion or anything that creates a lot of heat, you get people really, you know, it's a very passionate thing, right? You get people wandering off in their own thoughts and that sort of thing. So every once in a while, you're going to hear me do some spot checks. So I will be asking the people at the mic, is your question being answered? Okay? And just be aware that that will happen. That doesn't mean it's not. It just means that's what it is. Okay. And at 8:45, we'll do a closing, and each of the candidates will once again have 2 minutes to give us some closing remarks, and then we'll wrap it up. And I will remind you at the end that there's a donation bucket there. Okay? So, can we introduce our candidate, please? Oh, there's one other thing I want to add to this, is that this is a classy event. We really are putting a real emphasis on respect here. We don't all line up with everybody's opinion on politics, that's for sure, but we're going to respect it. So we're asking all participants respect each of the candidates, no matter who's speaking or what they're saying. You can disagree, but it's got to be respectful. We're asking the candidates to please respect the fact that all these people have come out in the rain to inform their vote and give them some specific, direct answers quickly. And we're going to ask the participants in the audience, please respect each other whether you agree or not. Okay? All right. So, let's introduce the candidates now. We have Bonnie Clark with the People's Alliance. Thanks for coming tonight, Bonnie. We appreciate that you're here. And then we have Scott Smith, Conservative. Thanks for coming. And Chris Durand, welcome. And David Kuhn, for the Green Party, of course. And Susan Holt for the Liberal Party. Okay, so there are your candidates. And you'll be able to inform your vote tonight. That'd be grand. All right, let's get going. I think that's all I have to say. Did anybody have anything to add to that? Jean-Louis, anybody? Okay. Let's get started then. Bonnie, you have the floor for 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Reggie. I'm Bonnie Clark. I was born on Chestnut Street. I've got 5 brothers and sisters. I grew up here. I went to Albert Street School, went to Fredericton High. I worked a lot in the old hospital. I trained there. When I was older, 37 years old, I went to started back to university as a single mom. I was a single mom for 21 years. I have 5 children. And I got my bachelor degree from UNB, my master's, and my criminology from STU, and I went on to get a doctorate in child and youth studies. I'm very passionate about healthcare, I'm very passionate about youth at risk and seniors and getting our businesses back on feet in Fredericton, in the province. What else can I say? How much longer do I have? Oh, 2 minutes. Okay.
Look at you go.
So, in 1986, I started an organization called Positive Heart Living, and I was very, very fortunate to have as my friend and mentor Dr. Everett Chalmers. We worked for many years together, and we tried to help people that were unemployed get back onto their feet. We were actually got large grants from the federal government, and all of our participants were paid, and they all finished their programs in 10 months. That was a really, really successful program, and we went on, and we still have Positive Heart Living, but it's a private business. We still provide services to veterans in all of the nursing homes in the area, and that's very gratifying as well. So I just wrote Purdy Palmer's book, Purdy the Magician, and I've written Paul Campbell's book as well. I'm an author now, and I enjoy writing, but I still love working with people. My mom passed away in November, and that's why I'm here. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Chris, I think I was amiss. I don't think I announced that you were NDP candidate. Okay, so I'll correct that now.
Thanks so much.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Yes, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming out tonight. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Scott Smith. I'm the candidate for the Progressive Conservative Party here in Fredericton South. Thank you, Ron Tremblay, for coming. It's always good to see you out. So, yes, like many of the other candidates here, I was born here in Fredericton, went to school here, Priestman Street Elementary, George Street, and Fredericton High School. Got my first degree here at University of New Brunswick. That was actually possible because I joined the military here in Fredericton in the local reserve unit, the Royal New Brunswick Regiment, which has got me through 23 years of a military career and allowed me to raise a family. It's also given me some other opportunities as your local recruiter, if you've ever seen me around recruiting for the Canadian Forces. I've supplemented that with some elected experience. I have been elected as a community leader 3 times, right here in the Fredericton area. And as chair of Rich Cornish Wasis, I did some pretty good things for the environment, including promoting recycling in that community. Also established and rewrote a land use plan, which is pretty relevant because it also included a pipeline that went through it. So some interesting things we can talk about there. Also, I'm probably one of the only people here, or the only person here at this table, who's actually been an elected official on Fredericton's biggest green energy project. And I'm talking about the natural gas generator at the landfill, which I've had a lot of experience with, and I think is really important when we want to talk about the future of green energy. I've had an actual experience with that. I've also been able to lead the local mayors here in the Fredericton region to stop the export of our solid waste. Something that would have increased a huge carbon footprint, would have reduced our various diversion programs like recycling and the power generation, and would have hurt you in the pocketbooks by tripling your tipping fees. So I've had some real life experience working for the environment. In that sense, I'm probably not your average conservative candidate. It's okay. So we're really hoping to have a good conversation. We can talk about this, and we can talk about ways and ideas that we can responsibly develop an economy here in New Brunswick and have one that is not only sustainable for the near term, but will last for the next 7 generations. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks, Scott. Chris, it's your turn.
Hi there. As she said, my name's Chris Durant. I'm running for the New Democratic Party. I live on Needham Street. I work as a lawyer on King Street. As a legal professional, I've been very proud to do research for both the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the UN Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. I'm running for the NDP because I'm proud of the concrete ideas the party is putting forward this election. When Jennifer McKenzie became leader of the NDP, she saw that 30% of working New Brunswickers make less than $15 an hour. She saw that local businesses were suffering from poor purchasing power because people are making so much less. That's why she said that we are going to raise the minimum wage $1 a year until it gets to $15. And what was the effect? Immediately, the Liberal government, after being obstinate in raising the minimum wage, had to say, yes, we'll raise the minimum wage to $14 an hour. It's Jennifer McKenzie and the NDP that are changing the discourse in this province. We're putting forward bold ideas. We're the only party that's running on a carbon tax. We want to tax carbon at a rate of $30 a ton. That's what environmental groups have been asking for because they know that's what causes people to change their behavior. And we've got a clear plan about reducing emissions because we're telling you what we're doing with that money. 1/3 of the money would go to rebates for low and middle class New Brunswickers. 1/3 would go to building green energy projects like solar power and wind power. And 1/3 of it would go to innovation programs like retrofitting homes to make them more energy efficient. Brian Gallant wants to Brian Gallant and Susan Holt are running on a platform of relabeling the gas tax. That's not action. That doesn't even meet the low standard Justin Trudeau has set.
Can we stick to what you're going to do, please?
That wasn't in the information about what we were going to cause. I believe strongly in contrasting ideas. The Green Party is running on a plan to cap industrial emissions. And look, and I'm all in favor. I want to be the first person in line to hold the Irvings to account. But we can't pick on one sector in our economy and say that's doing our obligation to mitigate climate change. It has to be a province-wide effort. David has said that a carbon tax is just one tool in the toolbox. Yes, and I say the most important tool. That's not trying to fight climate change without a carbon tax is like trying to fix a sink without a plumber's wrench. if the NDP, when we go about fixing a problem, we don't leave any tools at home. We need bold leadership in this province, and that's going to take concrete ideas and the will to get it done. And as Jack Layton used to say, don't let them tell you it can't be done.
Your 3 minutes. Okay, David, you're next.
Thank you, Maggie, and thank you, Chief Tremblay, for your welcome. Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to have the chance to spend a couple of hours with all of you this afternoon. I've been your MLA, if you're from Fredericton South, for the last 4 years, and I've had the opportunity to help many of our neighbors who are struggling with a whole variety of issues, but the number one issue that has come through the door at my constituency office has been affordable housing. People having a difficult time in our community trying to find housing that they can afford, living in rooming houses in terrible situations, and that is a huge need in this province and in the city. Many people on low income, poverty in Fredericton is probably more hidden than most other places in New Brunswick, but it's significant. And what I ran up against was so many people who were looking for help, not only to meet their needs, but to help them navigate government, because they're right up against government departments and their intransigence, to help them address the problems that they needed to address, and help them access the services they needed to access. And then the other thing, of course, with constituents is the issues that people brought forward that they were concerned with in the community, like Officer Square, like the UMB pool that was going to be closed for the last 3 years, and many other similar issues that I was able to offer some help to support and make a difference there. Now, we have a vision as the Green Party for a province that is community focused, that is fair and just, and that is sustainable. And being in the legislature for the last 4 years has really informed that thinking significantly, both in terms of the kinds of issues that constituents have brought to me and the kinds of policies I could see need to be put in place, the kind of solutions need to be put in place to address the concerns they had brought on a more systemic level, as well as the work I did on public accounts and debating budgets department by department, looking at what was being budgeted for the year and what had been spent the previous year. You get a really good handle on how government's spending its money, and you get a real good sense of how we could, if we're going to shift priorities to make real change, where those possibilities exist within the government system, and what kinds of reforms we need to bring to government to restructure so that government's serving people better, whether it's local development, tackling poverty, environmental protection, or health care. So it's going to be an interesting discussion this evening. I'm looking forward to your questions, and I'll turn it over to the colleague right here.
Thank you, David. You're on, Susan.
Thank you very much, Maggie, Grand Chief Tremblay, Margot, Jean-Louis, the volunteers who put this on. Thank you for hosting this event. My name is Susan Holt, and I'm a Liberal candidate for Fredericton South. I also grew up here in Fredericton in Sunshine Gardens, so I may have met some of you when I was scooping ice cream at Tingley's or bringing in groceries at Save AZ. I used to be a camp counselor at the YMCA Camp Glenburn down the Belle Isle Bay, so I've had the chance to have this beautiful province in my spirit from an early day. Some of my first jobs included being a water tester at the provincial lab, looking for nitrates and water samples from all over the province, to doing environmental impact assessments on the Maritimes and Northeast Pipeline wet crossings for Washburn and Gillis, a local engineering firm here in town, as I was getting a degree in chemistry from Queen's University, and I also got a degree in economics from Queen's University. After university, I traveled the world. I worked in Toronto, I worked in Sydney, Australia, I worked in India, I worked in Ottawa, but eventually the pull came to come back to beautiful Fredericton. I love this city, and it's where I've chosen to raise my family. I have 3 little girls, Molly, Paige, and 11-month-old Brooke. So this is a city that I care deeply about, and a city that I want to see get better and better. So I want to tell you a little bit about the reason why I decided to enter politics. I think the world is changing rapidly in fundamental ways. The demography is changing, our environment and climate is changing, our economic systems are changing, and society is changing. And so we need a new politics to change with the world. Our political system hasn't changed in 100 years, and how we govern ourselves and how politics works needs to be modernized. I have an idea of how we can do that. I have been learning and working in the private sector, in the nonprofit sector, and for the past 3 years in the bureaucracy. I've seen how the sausage is made. It is not pretty, but it can be better. So I believe that we can bring open government to New Brunswick. We can be one of the first places in Canada to embrace the open government model and build collaborative policies together. The people of Fredericton South have a ton of ideas. I know because I've knocked on your doors. I've knocked on 4,932 doors in the last few months. I've had more than 3,000 conversations with you. I have been listening. I have been gathering the data from those conversations because I believe in evidence-based policy development where you listen to people, you take down their ideas. This riding is full of people with brilliant ideas and things that they need to share as we develop our policy. So I want to go in to the places where the decisions are made, open up government, bring forward a model of collaborative policy development that includes you, and help drive the kind of change that keeps New Brunswick moving into this future that is uncertain in a world where climate changes, technology changes by the minute. We need to change our politics. I think that I am the person who can do that, and so I ask for your vote. Thank you.